Alright, so tonight I am painting this old doorway. I know it's kind of rocky and craggy around there. It's obviously got a lot of age to it. A lot of the paint has come off the door. It's got this nice geranium in the front. It's a nice picture. I really thought I would like to paint this. Going to be using my new paints here. These are Mission Gold paints. There they are. The brushes I'm going to use are probably this one, my Dainayw brush, and my Mairtini brushes. So let me put the paint cam up. There it is. Still got some paint on it from yesterday. I'm going to set this up to the side just a little bit, and I'm going to get going with this. And it's kind of a good thing I didn't clean my palette out from yesterday. I've got all these old colors in there. I'm going to grab quite a few of these. And whatever color this turns out to be, it's going to turn out to be. I want this to be old, mottled stone up through here, so I'm just going to grab some colors. I'm going to try not to get this too wet through here. And whatever colors happen to come off my brush, we're going to deal with it on this first layer. Not a big deal at all if it's the same as my reference photo, or if it's not the same as my reference photo. Matters not to me. All right, one person viewing already. That's great. Whoever you are, hello. Welcome to the channel. I'm going to paint through that. Maybe a bit of this bolder color up here, just a bit. Ooh, indigo, let's get indigo. All right. Gotta get a little on this side over here. Continue this. This is where I often need to turn my page just a little bit. A little bit of that brighter color on this side, that's totally fine. It's kind of looking like an old wall there. I'm going to just bring that down like this, somewhat around that plant that's there. And I like that. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually paint a bit of that plant on. Get a nice light yellowy green. Might be a little too bright. There we go. I like that. Mix this in a little bit, and if it bleeds out a little bit going over that wall, that's perfectly fine. of that. All right, all right. I've had a few people tell me that my plants and my trees look exactly the same. I've kind of responded, what's wrong with that? That's not a big deal. Plants and trees are similar. It's okay if they look alike. Let's see, I'm just going to paint this all green. I'll come back in a little bit and see if we can't get a little bit of red in there. I'm trying to get a nice color here for this pot. That's right down here. I think that's a good color for a terracotta pot. I'm just going to put on the tiniest little bit here. Almost no water. A little bit of, what is this? This is indigo. And I'm going to hope that that's going to bleed out a little bit. If it doesn't, I'm going to help it. And if I put a little mark here, actually maybe I can put a couple little highlight marks on there just like that. That's going to blend down fine. Got some texture on that pot. Now I want to come into my door. My door is going to be a little different. I want my door to be a little bit warmer. I'm going to go with a more burnt umber on this and a little bit of this indigo. I want my door to be a little bit warmer than the surrounding stone. I've got more wood on this side, but I do have some wood down here. And I think before I put that on there, I'm going to mix up a little bit of brown, blue here too. And maybe we'll do this with a little bit of cobalt. Right? And what happens if we put some of this orange in it, this yellow orange, and our cobalt? Tones it down a little bit. Is it enough? I'd rather do it this way. I'll go with that. I'd rather do it that way than put a gray in it. So here's my door color. Like I said, with any luck, this is going to be just a bit warmer of a tone than the wood behind it. Let's see, we do have a little bit of blue that comes in here. Let's just drop a little bit of this in there. Something like that, I don't know. Some blue-ish colors in here. Maybe it goes over to the edge over there. If I get a little bit of white space in there, that's not a big deal. Maybe there's a little bit of light reflecting off of the leaves of this plant. just ever so slightly. And let's see, I was using burnt umber on this, right? Something like that. Right on down. I've got another plant down here I need to kind of prepare for. Leave a few leaves in there. Just turning this ever so slightly here and there to make it just a little easier to paint. That's actually going to get pretty dark in there. Can put a little bit of that dark in right now. I'm just going to grab that indigo. I just put it in. It's really dark in there. Behind all those petals. All right, and let's see, I'm going to kind of wait here for a second. I got to let this plant do its thing. I think what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that, I've got this warm color. I'm going to perhaps make this a little bit darker here. And I know that down along this edge, all the way down out here, we've got some darks right on through here. So I'm going to try to drop a couple of those in right now. It's a pretty dark area. Let's see, I can do a little bit of dark under here. There's a little rock right there. Some dark going back on that side. And I just want to let this come out. I'm just going to tease this out. Just barely. Like that. Bob Ross would say 2 hairs and some air. That's really what I want there. Not much of anything more than that. And in fact, while I have this color out, a little Van Dyke brown. It's a nice warm, it's not really a neutral, but it's not far from a neutral. And let's take this up this doorway just ever so slightly. We've got a few holes in here. That goes something like that. And that's going to come right down. I got a fairly sizable hole down here. While I'm waiting for the rest of this to dry up a little bit, I can just put in a few of these craggly little pieces in here. If they go in perfect, that'd be phenomenal. I don't really know what perfect means sometimes. If it goes in the way I want it to, I suppose that's as best I can hope for. And then I'm going to add a little bit more red to it. It's a little warmer up here at the top. And before I get too far away from it, actually I'm going to come all the way over here. Turn this completely upside down. I've got to kind of go around these bricks somehow. Some of them have a bigger gap in between them, some of them a little smaller. Nice warmer red there. Just make some of these, just put the indication. These are some nice bricks in there. This looks like one lintel. I wouldn't really want to walk underneath, I don't think. It's a little precarious, maybe, for my liking. I don't know. Of course, there might be some people who would kind of hope I'd walk under this one. And this continues down around the side. Down over here. There's a couple of these craggy little holes over there too. And this goes down and around all the way into our plant down there. Let's see, I got a couple. See if I can get some really light ones. Let me get a little point on here. This one would come out a little bit lighter. Let me. Not a little bit lighter, maybe not the right term that I'm looking for. I should be doing this with a slightly smaller brush. Ooh, that's too cold. That's too cold. Let's warm that up a little bit. In fact, you know what? I'm going to warm that up with a little, warm it up. I'm going to mix in a little bit of blue. I just want to change a little bit of the color here and there. Or maybe a couple of these. Just go back there a little bit further. I know it probably does look a little funny. I'm doing it upside down. When we turn it right side up, we're really going to find out what we have here, whether it's good or bad. With any luck, it'll be good. Let's see. Yeah, it definitely looks like we've got some cracks and breaks in our wall here. The addition of that blue breaks it up a little bit. We don't have all of the same colors up there. That's good. Now everything's dry enough. I think I'm going to go back and see if I can do a little bit more on this door. Add a little bit of this orange and cobalt blue I was using. Maybe that's a little too strong. We'll find out when we get it on here. A little strong. We'll just dilute that tiny little bit. That's a better. It's a bit better. Might still be a bit strong. By the time we get down and around here, I've got really not much of it on my brush now. This is an old, faded, weathered door. I tell my stories about what I'm painting all the time. Here we go. That door comes right in there. Well, now, so I'm painting these doors right next to each other. Right, in reality, one door has a little bit of a hasp on it, and it goes over the top of the other door. And I'm not necessarily painting that on here. Ooh, I like the addition of some of this red color in there. It makes it look more weathered, more older. See if we get some on there without getting too much of a back run, I hope. Because maybe the sun has hit more of it down here at the bottom. Caused a bit more of this color to fade and go away. We got a little bit of iron down here, something. And then underneath down here, it's most of that blue is gone down there. Paint it like that. There we go. Let's see. I think maybe I shouldn't have come all the way out here. I think I forgot to draw a line in there somewhere. We'll come back and we'll fix that in a little bit. We're gonna have to do a little bit more work on there. All right, in the meantime, I'm looking at my details on this door, and I want to, what do I want to do with this? I want to get some shadows on here a little bit. So I'm actually gonna just put a little tiny bit. In fact, I could pre-wet this and do this. I just need the slightest amount. In fact, I'm gonna dab it with this to make sure that that's not gonna run any further than that. I don't want this to come very far. And on this side, I've got just a little bit. So that marks the beginning of one of the details on here. And in fact, while I'm doing that, I think what I'm going to do, I need a little bit more water on my brush to let it stand out a little bit. I think what I'm going to do, I'm looking at this. We've got some darker areas up here. I can come back over while I can still put my hand on here a little bit. I'm going to darken in the underside of this. We have a little shadow area in here. Should have used a detail brush to do this, but I think I can do it with this one. Just take me a second. I should put my glasses on maybe. That would probably help a great deal. Down there, got a little bit of a darker area here, right where those two stones come together, and then a bit of a shadow back down there, and it runs, if I could paint a line straight at all. It runs down there. Somehow it's a light line, but it's there. And then we'll come back up to the top here with a little lighter on this side. We'll put that same shadow on. Where that bumps out, it gets much lighter, and then quickly a darker bit here. And then the same mix again. Come on, let's get some color on here, all the way up here. There we go. Now if I turn that over now, you can see that's some nice shadowing on the underside of that door. Pushes it back in there a little bit. I'm gonna have to come back up here and darken up the blue and darken up the edge of this wood a little bit. That's totally fine. We're getting a little bit more to do up there anyways. But before I go too far, before I forget about it and do something else, I want to put in these little plants down here. I keep looking down at the white spot down here, and I keep going, there should be something there. What goes there? Why don't I have anything there? I just need to remember that it's a little plant, a little weed growing here, and we're going to stick him right in there. We like little weedy plants. They're fun. I'm pro little weedy type plant. There he is in there, and I got one on this side too. Get some more of that mix. These aren't necessarily the same type of plant. I'm not exactly sure what these are, but I don't think it matters. We'll just draw that out like that. I don't want too much white to show in the body of that or that, but if there's a little bit there, I'm okay with it. And so now I am going to get a much smaller brush, one that I've got a lot more control over. And I'm going to try to paint the underside of this, and this is going to be the smallest, the shortest graded wash in the history of short graded washes. It's going to be about that far. That's it. Get another one on this side to match that up. A little bit here and just enough to pull that down to give us the indication that something is there. Something, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but something is there nonetheless. Go back to my color. I got a little green in there that I don't want. And see, I'm going to give a little bit of right along that top line. I'm just going to make the indication of something there. I'll go up some lines here and there. These have a little texture to them. That wasn't right. Who's ever watching, pretend you didn't see that bit. Oh, I got a little detail to do down here now too. I didn't notice that. Let's see, I warm this up here just ever so slightly, maybe a little warmer on one side, a little cooler on the other. Right through there I want a line. Just trying to add a bit of texture to this. I'm actually going to do a bit on this wall here too. This is really going to separate this out. Let's see, I'm going to draw a line and a line. Same thing I did there, I'm going to do down here. Just let that do what it wants to do there. I think this is going to be dry enough up there now. I can go into that one, I think. Burnt umber. Come on, burnt umber, be nice to me here. Is that going to be right? I wanted a little darker than I had. Maybe I will mix a little bit of that Van Dyke brown in it. all the way down here. Oh, I managed to put my wrist in what I'm painting. Not going to worry about it. It's what we call texture. It's more texture. And I'm going to let that bleed out a bit on this old wood that's here. That's maybe a bit of shadow coming in from that little door where it's recessed back there. A little bit. There we go. I like that. And I need to do the same thing on the blue side. So let me get my blue color here. I'm going to thicken it up just a little bit. And what's wet over here? Right over here, and that's too bright for me. That's going to be better. Right along the top line there where the door meets. That's going to push it back. And I think this line is going to go all the way down to the bottom. Down. Let's see that one. All the way down. If it's not a straight line, it's probably a little better. It's got a little jagged edge on it. That edge is going to add a little bit of life to it. But still quite a dark line there. That's just a shadow line. There we go. That door looks like it really looks like it's set back there. Now that might be a bit heavy. Take a bit of that out, but not too much. Okay, I think I can live with that. Looks okay to me. Let me get a little bit of this. And I'm going to come on the inside here. There we go. And that's where the wood panel comes right into that door. Here, the inset on that side. And I don't want just a flat line, so I'm gonna just pull that out a little bit. I'm gonna get just a slightly different brush here. That one was holding a bit more water than I want to at the moment. I'm trying to be a little bit technical. Maybe I don't want quite that much water. And if I wanted to try to keep the same color of paint in my brush each time, instead of going back and rinsing it off and then coming back and grabbing a little bit more paint and putting it on here. What you could do is just, you could have a whole second brush. Here we go. Let's see. There's a second brush that I could use just as a little bit to soften that edge. It's a good thing to do. My problem is that from time to time I forget to pick up the right brush when I go back. So Oftentimes I will pick up the wrong brush, start to paint with it, and wonder why nothing looks anything like what I'm trying to do. Well, it's because I've got the wrong brush. But if you can remember that. There we go, second brush. Let's see if we can't finish this out with that second brush. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just adding some detail to the where the wood panels are in this door. I think I said that. I'm not trying to do too much with it, just a little bit here and a little bit there. And I'm going to hope for the best with it. Yeah. I say I'm going to hope for the best. Mostly I know what it's going to turn out like. Mostly. Not always. Sometimes I get a little surprised. But mostly I know what, or pretty close to what it's going to turn out like. So there aren't too many surprises. Let's see. There we go. That's a good door there. I'm gonna just put a couple of lines like this. Whatever that thing is, I'm gonna add a little color to that in a couple of minutes here. And then we're gonna do the same thing with this door. Oh, I need a stronger mix than that. So this one's got a bit less. It's actually a bit smaller door too. It took me a while when I was looking at this picture to figure out what didn't seem quite right. Something was just seemed a little bit off, and it turned out to be that the two doors aren't the same size, and it had me for a minute. It definitely had me fooled for a minute. Yes, I know I went a little too far over on the top there. I'm not actually gonna sweat that. And quite honestly, I'm not even gonna try to fix it. It's just something that happened to this old door. It's gotten a little crack right there, and that's how that one is. Right, I think I have a little line down here maybe. I'll just do that like that. I'm not going to do anything else with that one. Alright, and I need to... See, I've got some paler, reddish, I'm going to go with an ochre, kind of things here. Don't know exactly what these are. It's a little too bright for me. A little bit better. That might be a little too much paint even. Maybe a little less paint than that might be a little bit better. And I want to go a little bit browner in there. The big hole over here, I'm not sure exactly what that is. What happened? I splashed a little water on here somehow. So I know there's a little bit of a... Let me do this. It's the color I was using. Didn't quite finish this thing. Or this thing. But that little bit of drop shadow in there is going to probably tell the viewer that, you know, this is broken off of the wall somehow, whatever that is. And then I'm going to get some of this really light, and I don't know, maybe it's got a little of that green in it, maybe we'll even put a little bit of this blue in it, but pretty light. And I'm going to come just on this side of our doorway. And then I'm going to blend this out. This can come way out. I'm not overly worried about this. I just want to have a color break in there. All you can see, just that little bit has really helped to define that shape already. I didn't do anything other than just barely dabble some paint on there. All right, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just give me a mix of all of these colors over here. Just a little something here. It's not quite as important on this side because we have that broken area there, but you know what? Let's put some on here. You know, these rocks have a bit of color too. I don't want to leave them out. If we wanted to, we could, you know, dabble in some, you know, maybe there's a few pock marks in here or something. A larger, this is an old modeled, right, bit of something, you know, bit of masonry here. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. So let's put a little bit of that in there. And we'll have a little bit of faith that when it dries, it's going to look like it should. I think what I'm going to do, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was going to say I'm going to put a little line of, on this side of this thing, of this wall, but I don't know that I need it. This doorway, not this wall, this doorway, it might just stand on its own here. I didn't have this quite right up to the edge, so I wanted to go back and put that in right up to that edge there. All right, so now I've got a few things to go. My doorway's looking better. It's looking like a doorway. I think one thing I can do is I can put a big crack right between these two doors without too much worry. I just mixed up some indigo and that blue, and that looks to me a little too cold. I have a fairly warm scene going on here, so there we go. I'll just mix some indigo in there, and let's see if I can do this. Let's see how I can do this. I'm not always good at making straight lines. Already I've deviated from where I wanted to go. All right, got a little line in there. Maybe there's a bigger crack right there. I'll just fill that in like that. Oh, it's easier. I should have been doing it on the side all along. Look at that. Much easier. Okay, there's where our two doors come together. There's a little crack right there. Trying to finish up a few things here. Let me get a warm color here. Whatever this piece is. I want just a touch of water here. All right, I can put that on. And as I'm doing that, I can put on a little bit of these rocks here that are showing. Maybe they have a little bit of depth to them. I want that to show through. All right, let's see, what colors do we have that we're using here? All right, this one's got a little bit of brown to it. Here, these are mostly flat rocks, so I don't want to get too crazy with them. But I want to give the indication that they have some texture to them. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to make the very bottom of them a little bit darker as it goes and meets that, I might have to go through and redo our cracks and crevices there again too. They've lightened up a bit more than I thought they were going to. So yeah, I think we're going to end up having to come back and do a little bit there. These ones that I started nice and dark have stayed nice and dark. I'm totally happy with those. There's a little bit of my color here. These two, there's a split in the rocks there. There's one there. If there's one on that side, there's one on that side, and where did I say there was one here? That's where it was on the other side. It's an indication of some, it's some heavy work here that's gone on. We're looking good. We're looking good. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow right here. I said I thought I made my door a little long, but I think if I put a shadow here, then that gives that a little bit of a step right here. And maybe you can't quite see that. Maybe that's too close to that door color. I'll darken it up there and there. Now you can see it. And of course we've got our brown going here. We've got a rock over here holding. I know I'm jumping all over the place here. We've got a little rock right here that's holding that thing up. It's dark back there. There's our little rock holding that up. And I think what I want to do is just give a little bit more color to that terracotta. So let me do this on that side. And a little bit on this side, and then I'm going to bring them together just a bit. There's one side. There's the other side. Now we've got a really good look to that. Yeah, I like that. We've got a really nice look to that pot. It really looks round now. So now that's going to give me the confidence to come back in and paint. Ooh, that's a better color. And paint some more of these. Paint some more of the leaves in here. And I'm trying to leave some spaces up here for the light colors, the lightest colors to shine through. I'm just going to let my brush do most of the work to show me where these leaves are at. I know they're in there somewhere. This brush is going to help them come out. You can drop a few, just little dots here and there. And then as we come down to the bottom, or as you get to an area that you think is a little bit more in the shade, I'm going to add just a bit of dark. to it. Something like this. And this inside is a larger mass. Actually, it might be interesting if we added a little bit of this red-brown in here. Just for a little bit of contrast. We're going back into the green. I'm just trying to get some colors in here that are going to add a little bit of interest. If we need to come back and do a little bit more with this, we can do that. Nothing says we can't. Get a little bit darker down here on the bottom of this. And for these weeds on the side, turn this just ever so slightly. I've got a plan for these weeds here. Right, there they are. There are those. And maybe that's, it's not really the same as in here, but you know, maybe it's like a spider plant or something. Maybe this one's got some shorter, spikier leaves. Something, but you know, it comes out. Maybe a few things here and there. Way back in there, it's a bit darker. I'm just darkening mine with a bit of this indigo, right with this green. It will really help to darken that up a little bit. I think this guy back here needs just a little bit of indigo back there to darken him up. And what he needs is, I know what he needs to come in front of this pot just a little bit. So maybe we can put a couple of little leaves in front. There we go. Push that back just a little bit. I like that. I'm going to let that dry. Maybe we need to come back and do a little something there. I don't know. Where's my Van Dyke brown? And a little bit of this burnt umber. Oh, too bright, too bright. I'm just going to strengthen this a little bit before I go back up. You know what? I'm going to make that really dark. I'm just going to go for it. Make this really dark in here. Mix a little bit of black right there. You know, maybe this has really been a heavily worn step or something. And then I'll, just like I did before, I'm going to just grab this and pull it out a little bit. Just with a little bit of water, let it decide where it wants to go. And with any luck, that should pull this whole step forward a little bit. Right, I know it's, you know, my reference photo here, you can't see it. It's blue. It's a blue concrete. I know, but I don't want that. I want it to be a warmer color. The whole thing is a bit warmer. Yes, yeah, okay, save for a little bit of this door, but the whole thing is a bit warmer. So I want that to be a bit warmer too. See, maybe this has got a few cracks in there. Something. This is that little stoop that's here. Whoops. Didn't mean to go down quite that far. Come on, dry that off. There we go. I can actually extend that out just a little bit. There, that's a little darker. It helps hold that in a little bit more. I'm gonna go back to my Mairtini brush and continue basically with this mix. Now that we have that other dark on here, maybe this doesn't look quite dark enough, so let's just add a little bit of darkness to it. All right, there's a big gaping holes in here. This doorway is old. That is really old. So it cracks in here quite big. Unfortunately, you know, the landlord didn't maintain this all that well. It's just kind of gone to ruin. And it's waiting for somebody to buy this place up and fix it. In fact, you know what? The owner has kind of walked away, and these plants have just grown out of control. No, I don't want this to be too much. These plants have just continued to grow and grow, and whoever the new owner is going to be is really going to have their hands full. You should see what the backyard looks like. If you think this front is overgrown, it's really got a lot of extra growth on there. So I'm just going to take this up in kind of a, not a big way, but that's going to help set that front off, I hope, just a little bit. And I think adding this extra color on here, this extra layer, really did help to bring this forward and solidify this whole side over here. And I like that this is all modeled up here on this side. I don't want to do too much with that. I might like to do a little bit more with my plant here, but it's a bit wet. I wonder if I could just really get a nice cherry red, super bright flower and put on here. A couple of them maybe. I don't know. I need to see on a piece of paper exactly what color I've got. If it's too bright red, I don't want too bright, but I think what I got is good. And I'm just going to drop in a flower here, a flower there. And I said it was overgrown. Even overgrown flowers flower from time to time. It's a geranium in the picture, but I don't know if it really looks like a geranium or not. I think that helps a little bit. I don't know how it plays on camera. It might be a bit too dark to see that, but I think it helps out. And I need to look to see if there's any last touches that I need to do. Anything I really need to fix up that I don't like, or what I want to do before I call this finished. And I think there are a couple of shadow areas here that I need to re-strengthen. One of them is here. This one can get a bit more up and around. I think that area of the door has gotten a little weak. I put my hand in something, and so a little bit there, a little bit there. Let's darken this side down again to match. Oh, there's where I got it. Let's put a little color in there. And how am I going to do this? I guess I'll turn it this way. I could put in that shadow line right there. That might help our door a little bit. But I think that's about it. I'm not going to do a whole lot more with this one. I'm kind of happy with it. I just need to find here we found one. Find something to sign this with. I think I'm going to sign it. I'll sign it right here. And that's all I've got for this old door. I hope you guys like this painting. It's fun to do. I had a great time. And we will see you guys during the next video. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.